Life-saving stations are typically set up in areas of tragic need. Evanston, Illinois is certainly one of those places. In fact, one of the most famous rescues in all of the Great Lakes originated right from here. And Edward Spencer wasn't even a lifesaver.
Edward Spencer was a student at Garrett Biblical Institute, where several divinity students answered a call to help rescue shipwreck survivors that were coming ashore near Glencoe. The sidewheeler Lady Elgin had been hit in a storm by a lumber schooner. Fatally wounded, it broke up in the building waves. Captain Jack Wilson rode atop the pilot house when it broke free of the ship, almost bringing it ashore before the shoreline breakers pulverized the makeshift raft.
The collision occurred at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the vessel sank and broke up underneath them in 20 minutes to a half hour. And the people rode for 5 to 8 hours on wreckage and debris going ashore. And there were some people from the then Northwestern University who came up the beach to aid the survivors, and there were a couple of them who jumped into the surf and pulled people to safety. There was a violent storm at the time of the collision, and the rough water made it the transit through the surf very difficult. So a lot of people were being injured by the surf, with the debris in the surf. They were getting towed under by the undertow, and they were drowning in the surf literally.
Spencer and fellow seminary students Charles Fowler and James Cram walked from the school to the wreck site. The train conductor that brought the lifeboat from Glencoe said it was impossible to launch, so William Wrightson offered to help Spencer, who headed into the surf without hesitation. A rope was tied around his waist so Wrightson could pull him back through the killer surf, 15 times bringing women and men back to the bonfire built on shore.
Bleeding after hitting floating debris, Edward Spencer came ashore to warm himself at the bonfire, and observers there told him of another couple coming ashore. He ran out with a rope around his waist and brought in John and Ellen Evanston, collapsing into his brother's arms and asking God, "Did I do my best?"
They carried him to his dorm room bed, washed his ashen face and his blood-drenched head. Dreams of pounding gale and a ship no more to sail. Hold my hand, you're safe, he said. You'll live to tell the tale. But did I do my best? Can I close my eyes? Did I stand the test? Can I breathe a sigh? Can I...
Only a fraction of the 400 people said to be on the Lady Elgin survived. A few from Milwaukee actually held reunions for nearly 30 years. The last survivor passed away in 1921. Edward Spencer never fully recovered from his life-saving ordeal. He moved to California and died in 1917. He was 81. His brother Will became a reverend, as did James Cram, who ministered Ulysses S. Grant just before the general died in 1886. Charles Fowler served as a missionary in Africa, becoming a Methodist bishop before his death in 1908.
This is the plaque that commemorates the rescue that Edward Spencer had, and it's pretty appropriate. It's so close to where the old life-saving station was. This was open until 1931, and they actually had a rescue right up until that date when a teenager almost drowned here. This is the approximate location of where those student lifesavers eventually had a life-saving station built. And you might say, Rick, it's quite a haul from here to actually get down to the waterfront. And yes, it is, but the water was actually right here. In fact, this whole area was actually bought up in 1959 when the campus wanted to expand. Lake Michigan bottomland was going for $100 an acre, and they backfilled all of this, 74 acres, to the tune of $5 million.